7, 5, 4. Come on. Connect, please. Oh! Hey, there we go. Now we're live. Cool. Alright. Somebody want to go confirm for me that my stream is functioning. Oh, God. Okay. Alright, might as well go ahead.
Yep, you're live.
Alright, anyway. So, sorry about that, if you guys heard that. Okay. Well, watching game. So, bear with me, you guys, if anybody's actually watching the stream. Loading. So, yeah, No Man's Sky is happening. Bear with the laggy loading screen. I might have to dump down my settings a little bit for this game, just so the stream can properly. Bear with the lag. Hopefully my audio is. So yeah, guys, welcome to some No Man's Sky and some philosophy. Explain what's going on here. First of all, we're got Shira and Knight here joining me. They will be coming into the or don't, you guy fucks. So first of all, just a couple quick channel updates. If anybody who isn't in the Discord was wondering, Valheim is still happening. I have been very busy with work, and that will be coming back. I just have been way too busy to get on and play and stream before, but I'm now. So hopefully we'll be back to somewhat regular uploads relatively soon. My game finally loaded. So yeah. So the other thing is this stream. In case you didn't see the title, which mind, how you not see the title? Is my game already fucked? Oh, let me. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Tabbed out, tabbed back in, and it fixed itself. Yeah, I might. Let it get through this so I can lower my audio. Second, let's play out. Okay, I'm back. Me. Options here. We're gonna do some editing on my options here because the game's possibly janky. God, can I not? Oh my god, I gotta click. We're gonna lower the music way down. Lower the sound effects way down. actually not focus at the extreme. Hopefully I can play this game and still be able to focus somewhat. So we'll see. So while we're here in the options, oh good, somebody's confirming that it works. Fantastic. Waxon has just told me in the Discord chat that he doesn't have COVID but pneumonia instead. Holy shit, man. I know you're not in the live stream right now, but fuck. Best wishes out to Black Sun right now, you guys. Second, I gotta wish him better. Okay. Sorry about that. God, I hope he's good. Okay. Should be, as long as at least it's not COVID, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, about the title of today's stream. So I actually, as probably can't tell because most drunken escapades or strategy games, blowing things up, screeching in fear, playing Valheim and whatnot. But I'm actually really philosophy. I like discussing things like moral and ethical dilemmas, giving just kind of life advice to people, bad people, issues, and want to discuss it. And I find that I really enjoy it. And I thought that I don't know how well it's gonna go. My hope is that motion sounds insane. Lower that to 0 because I hate motion blur. I hate motion blur so much. Apply that and okay when I tap back in. But anyway, this is all okay, I can change all this stuff if I see them like do on at the same time. Anyway, so the way this is gonna work is I will be up with professional streamer. Fight me night. You're in the voice chat. Are the two people watching the two people in the voice chat? God damn it. Anyway, so the way this is going to work is that there will be either topics that I have come up with and we'll discuss, which is what we're doing today, just for the ease of not pressuring people into giving me ideas. But I actually prefer it if people who are either in the voice chats or in the live stream chats have, they have questions they want answered and they give them to discuss them. And it can be anything from, typical big philosophy, what is the meaning of life? Blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't have to be stuff like that. It can be simple stuff, smaller stuff, life lesson type things. For example, it could be about, say, I don't know, doing something that you're not proud of and coming clean about it to people, or coming to the conclusion that you, I don't know, like you like somebody else and you don't know how to tell the person that you're actually with because they're, just simple life lesson type shit. Questions that you have about, moral dilemmas, ethical dilemmas, about just regular events in your life. You can either send them to me anonymously on Discord and I will discuss them, or we can discuss them live and face to face, and I will respond to the chats and people in the voice chat and all that stuff, and it'll be more of a discussion. It's not going to be just me talking at you. Is the hope here. Additionally, if you catch the stream after the fact and you're really interested and you hate that you missed it, please, by all means, leave me stuff in the comment section, message me on Discord, give me ideas. Please, God, I'm bad at coming up with discussion topics. And yeah, so I just want to turn this into something cool. It'll probably evolve a little bit over time, where we kind of figure out how things are going to work as we go. For now, like I said, it doesn't have to be specifically giant meaning of life type questions. if you're not sure if a question qualifies or if ideas qualify, send them to me anyway, and then I will tell you, like, hey, yeah, that's perfect, we'll do that. Or, hey, you know what, that's not quite right, but it's something we can come back to when we have more of these other kind of similar ideas. So, please, all ideas are welcome, all thoughts are welcome. I do want to preface this before the video, just, in the random event that this somehow blows up, I am not in any, just, this sounds really dumb that I even have to think about saying this, but my paranoid brain's like, oh my god, what if somebody does something dumb based on what I tell them? Suddenly it comes back to me legally. I am not in any way, a professional psychologist or anything like that. I'm not associated with any political parties, because I do intend, if somebody comes at me with a political type question, what is the morality of a war for this reason or that kind of thing, I do intend to approach those type of questions, but I'm not affiliated with any political parties. I'm not with any groups. These are all just purely my thoughts and opinions on any topic that people give to me, whether that's political in nature, whether that's related to their life in some way. No matter what it is, these are all just purely my own opinions. I haven't even looked at any big, I know who Sigmund Freud is, but I haven't read any of his stuff. I took a basic psychology class in high school, and that's it. The rest of this is purely my own thoughts. So just keep that in mind. When you hear me talk about things, you don't have to agree with me. And in fact, I encourage people who don't agree with me to tell me about it in the chats, so that we can discuss back and forth about my opinion and your opinion, and come to maybe, an agreement about which one of us is more accurate, or maybe not. I'm good either way. The only thing I ask is that we keep all discussions completely civil. In fact, I've come up with a system for the voice chats to make sure that those are civil as well. The way the voice chats are going to work is I will approach the topic, discuss my thoughts on the topic, and then we will go down the voice chats one by one, depending by order of who's in the chat. So, for example, Knight is at the top of the voice chat list right now, so he will get to express his opinions first when I'm done, and then Shira will, because she's at the bottom. So, big shout out to these two people for being here today, even if they end up not saying anything. You guys gonna speak or what?
I'm just making tea over here.
Uh-huh.
We're just listening.
Fair enough. So
have tea for philosophy.
exactly, tea and coffee, man. I need another cup of coffee. Shit. But anyway, so
not coffee, tea.
No, coffee. My stream. But anyway, so yeah, big stuff, fun stuff. Hopefully, this works out pretty well. I think this could be a really cool idea. This is something I used to do on an old game server of mine, and I used to get 15, 20 people show up just to talk about random bullshit with me and life lessons and whatnot. So, by all means, give me suggestions, give me ideas, things to discuss, things to talk about, and I look forward to having some good talks with you guys. And in the background, I'm gonna go be playing some No Man's Sky, and wow, ooh, there's still motion blur. My god! General options. Oh. Video options. Motion blur reset itself. Why? Tick, 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 tick. Okay. I see. Okay. Options. Did I... Yeah, we're good here. Back. Oh yeah, much better. Much better. I don't see random thing. You guys let me know if the game is too loud and you can't really hear what I'm saying. So I guess with all that being said, the last thing I have to say is there's a link to my awesome art boy in the description. It's the guy who name is KI3 on Discord, and he's the guy who made my channel banner for me. And I might actually die because I was sat here AFK instead of playing the game. So now my thermal protection is almost out. That's fun. Anyway, check him out. There's a link in the description to the awesome art boy. He's gonna hopefully be making me some thumbnails and stuff, just helping me improve the quality of the channel. Big shout out to him, especially since he made my channel banner for free, which is incredibly cool. So that is hugely appreciated. Very, very appreciative of him for that. So yeah. I guess everything out of the way now, I should go on ahead, stop blabbering, and get on to what today's topic is actually about. So, this is a topic that I came up with, just randomly discussing stuff with a buddy at work, and basically, so I've run into plenty of people in the past who, they either don't, menu, recharge, there we go. Well, I am actually going to turn the audio down because it's a little bit distracting. Way down. There we go. You guys let me know if you want to turn back up a little bit. But, so anyway, the idea behind it was, that I've run into plenty of people in the past, and I'm winging this, by the way. None of this is scripted. Just so you know, so if I stutter a lot, it's because I'm trying to think of how to word my sentence correctly while also playing the game. But anyway, so we got to discussing some just life experiences with each other, and one of the things that came up was, there are plenty of people that I've met in my life before that, they either have the attitude of, man, my life is really, really hard, end of the world, and then there's also people I've met who sadly have the opinion of, well, I've heard about what's happened to this person, and nothing that I've had happen in my life can compare to that, so obviously my experiences are baseless. And not worth as much, and so they kind of bottle things away and feel that, I can't compare to what this person has gone through, so what right do I have to compare? Which simply is just wrong, frankly, in my opinion. So I kind of wanted to discuss the idea of how to kind of, wow, my sensitivity, just kind of, how do I put this? Weigh one's opinions, I guess you could say. Or not one's opinions. Weigh one's life experiences, and come to some understandings. In my view, just based on my experience and my experience alone, with stuff like this. So the first thing is that you have to understand that from my experience, ow, bite me. In my experience, people are gonna go through their lives based on their fuck. I don't know what plant was doing that, but bite me. You're gonna go through your life experiences based on the way you were raised in the early years. So your opinions, the way you view things is going to be just simply because of how our brains work at a young age. We're going to be inclined to kind of follow the opinions of our parents. We're going to be inclined to weigh our opinions based upon our very, very early years. And so your outlook upon life can kind of be affected by that as well. People who are raised in abusive environments obviously have a little bit more of a negative outlook on life than somebody who's raised with, they get all the things that they want. There's a happy balance to be achieved. Privilege, hardship, in my opinion. Some people experience a lot more hardship than others, and so they have a slightly more pessimistic view, or they have a worldview that is they have a worldview that is just a little bit warped. They normalize certain things that for other people are like, oh my god, why did that happen? That's not normal at all. So there's just certain things that the opinions of those around you in your early years are simply always going to affect. So I think that the best approach to figuring things out is one when you get older, you have to realize that there are always going to be people who have had it worse. I was talking with somebody the other day. I was kind of complaining about some things that had happened to me recently. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because when I was about 10, I had a gunman break into my house and threaten my whole family." And I was like, "Oh my god, okay. What?" And it's a very, when you have those moments with people where they say something that just, casually that blows away your thought process on what is acceptable. It's like, oh my god, that never happens. That's not something that goes on. It warps your perspective a little bit, into going, wow, maybe I haven't had it so bad. Vice versa, when you have an experience that it happens and look at it and you go, wow, this is something that doesn't happen to a lot of people. This sucks. A tragedy can similarly warp your opinion or your worldview in a different direction, in the complete opposite direction, such that now it's kind of like, wow, I've had it pretty rough. And eventually, time heals a lot of wounds. You get to the point where you're casual about tragedies that have happened in your life. Everybody's had a tragedy. Died. Accident has happened. I myself experienced a really unfortunate, tragic incident just a couple months ago. And to be honest, I kind of let it run me. I spent a little while not really feeling motivated to do it, and it took some time because of how my worldview was warped after that experience of like, oh my god, this has happened, this is awful. There's so much more that could have been done. Things could have been different, this, that, and the other, and I let myself get bogged down in what ifs. And that's a dangerous, dangerous game to play. It's unfortunate because it really is just something that you can't necessarily do. You have to understand that in life there are going to be this was one of those things, and so it took me some time to just thinking about my life in general and how things were, to come to the that what, at some point I have to get up and move on with that's just simply there is no if, ands, or buts about that. At some point you simply have to get up and so with that being said, Starship out of I'm smart. Anyway, it takes some time to kind of think about stuff like it's okay to take time as long as you get up. So, what is my point? What is the ultimate in-game what I'm going for here? I can droll on and on for quite a long time. If you know me, you know that I can, about how to deal with what things mean. And I think the ultimate conclusion, in my opinion, is that a person's life experiences don't necessarily dictate what you think about your life. You don't. The pessimistic or optimistic worldview, depending on your experiences, while it is something that can affect you, it's ultimately up to you what worldview you take. It's like may not think that it is, but it's kind of a conscious choice to have something happen and decide, okay, this sucks, life is bad. It's something you have to think about yourself. You can take a bad situation and you think about it in a way that is yep, this is shitty, there's nothing I can do, and I just kind of suffer eternally, which is something that I struggled with myself for quite some time. Alternatively, you can make the decision to look at something, look at the situation in your life that's happening, whatever it is, and decide, hey, yep, this is it's pretty crappy. This is not exactly my favorite thing in the world, but it's not the end. This isn't the end of my experiences. This isn't where I'm going to draw the line and be like, okay, yep, I'm done. This is as far as my life is going to go. This is, it's never going to get any better. I'm going to be stuck here forever in this shitty situation, yada, yada, yada. And the thing that I find is that your attitude in approaching things that ultimately is what determines the course that things take. If you approach something, yep, things are shitty and nothing's ever going to change, then go prove yourself right. Nothing's going to change. It's just not. Scanner. Sorry. It's a conscious decision. If you make the choice of, yep, things are crappy and nothing's going to change, then inevitably nothing will find that your attitude has resulted in a lack of decision-making skills and thought processes necessary to make the changes that you want to see. I spent, like I said, after this tragedy happened in my life, I spent wall of flame detected. Oh, good. I spent a lot of time believing that, yep, this is the worst my life can get. And then you talk to people, and I realize there for me. And even if I just had one person, that's more than other people can say. I'm lucky enough that helped me out, and those people are. And I hope that you know how appreciative I am of the help that I've been given. It was huge to me. And wow, literally fancy shit. That I was given the support that I was given, and I just didn't see it until it was on me, And as soon as I made the decision in my own head that it's not that bad, suddenly I found, oh my god, I've got a job again. I can enjoy myself again. Things are looking up all of a sudden. Your life is very much influenced by your own mental state, and sometimes it takes a conscious decision to change that. A lot of the time, it's been my experience that things simply don't change unless you want them to. And you can pretend that you want them to change, or you can say that you want them to change, but until you mean it, nothing is really gonna be any different. It's not. It just isn't, That's just how things are. It's not necessarily the most ideal situation, because sometimes, I don't mean any of this to downplay the things like depression or different mental states that affect how hard it is to make those kind of decisions. They definitely are a problem, and it's definitely a struggle to bring yourself out of a rut, if you will. It's not an easy thing. It's not a fun thing. It's not even something you look forward to, and that's part of the trap, is that you get into it and you're just like, why bother? Fuck this. Fuck that. I don't want to. It's too much work. I would much rather just kind of sit here and suffer for a bit. And that, that sounds silly to somebody who hasn't had to deal with that. That probably sounds really silly, but that's exactly how it is for a lot of people. They get into that kind of situation, and they decide that rather than deal with it, it's easier to not worry about it. It's easier to just kind of go, yeah, This is just how it is. I'd much rather leave it that way. Let me check the stream chat. People here. Monetization has come. Did I come at the wrong time? Oh no! I don't know who you are. I'm pretty sure you're somebody who's just renamed their account to mess with me. But that is fantastic, sir. um, but anyway, so I had a lot of things I wanted to talk about for this topic. I had a lot of good thoughts in my head, but most of them have fled my brain the moment I started the live stream and decided this is what I was going to talk about. So I think instead of trying to ramble on further, I will instead give the other people who are here a chance to chime in on their thoughts on the situation. So I think the focus of the discussion for now should be, we've acknowledged that if we acknowledge the fact that your experiences are not baseless simply because of the tragedies that you have or haven't experienced, how then would you advise, somebody to go about, like, what do you guys, what are your thoughts on coming out of a situation like that? What are your thoughts on the philosophy you should follow on trying to acknowledge that fact for yourself and come to an understanding about yourself and the people around you? Because I find that a lot of people who are in one of those two mind states of either my life is really hard or my life isn't hard enough, are insensitive to the thoughts and feelings of the people around them. They can't see that, either the people around them are either going to be like, well, your life really isn't that bad, or they're going to be like, dude, it's okay to to have a whinge. Basically, it's okay to complain a little bit. We're here for you. We want to help you out. And then there's similarly other people who feel like they don't actually have anybody who's there to help them out. They feel like there isn't anybody there for them. In fact, there very often is. So, with that being said, Knight, what are your thoughts on all the things that I just said? The questions I just asked. What do you think? Do you have any differing opinions to share? Do you have any thoughts on it?
I mean, I can somewhat confirm on that one. Just also, one of the things I've been known to do in other groups is if I'm going through something, I would just start becoming more and more quiet to the point I'll just kind of fade off into the background. And there's a group after 2 weeks of me just not talking, they looked at me and said, okay, what's going on? And, stuff at work and all that. That's when, about that incident that happened with that one job.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, the best thing to do is actually just talk to people, is not just kind of fade off in the background, which I forget to do, and just start fading back off in the background, not wanting to bother people with it.
Okay, so you think it's important that you you kind of acknowledge what's going on and you talk to the people around you then?
Yeah, the people that can help support you and people that are always there for you.
Okay. How would you? So what about for the people who don't feel like they have anybody then? How do they go about coping with the situation that they feel like there isn't anybody there to help them cope? I mean, obviously, a lot of the times they might not necessarily be right about that, but sometimes it's hard to get somebody to see that. It's hard to convince somebody that, hey, I'm here for you.
I mean, like, it all really depends, because there's also a bunch of gaming communities and all that. Like, one of the good ones I've seen is Raft. Their Discord community is actually good about helping people, and actually has a thing on there saying, hey, come over to our moderators and talk, we're here to help everybody. And I've seen a lot of Discords like that, like, hey, even if you don't think there's someone here, just send one of the mods a message and we'll help you out. We'll get someone to help talk to you.
Right. Okay, and that's, if you, anybody who works in an adult environment, they've graduated high school and they've moved on, that a lot of workplaces even offer, mental assistance. They have people there who their job is to assist employees in getting through hard situations, because for them, they have a vested interest in keeping their employees happy and healthy so that they can continue coming to work and slaving away to increase production. But that aside, a lot of those people are genuinely invested in helping people out. Obviously, there are some people who are better at it than others, but there are options out there that exist. What about you, Shira? You're somebody who's a little bit younger. You have a different mindset than perhaps people who have graduated and everything do. I remember that high school, for me in particular, was brutal when it comes to feeling that people were there, basically. It kind of feels like in high school there's not really a lot that the system gives a shit about. And it was hard to talk to my parents about things and whatever else. So as somebody who's still in that, what are your thoughts on all this?
Well, yeah, the same does hold true, but it's nice to have more. Or at least have someone to bitch to. And it does help to bitch about things, honestly. It does help to complain. I don't really have anything else to add, really, though. So.
I do agree, though. It helps to have somebody to talk to bitch at, pretty much. It's nice to have people that are there to talk to, and I find so. For example, you know, when you get really close friends with somebody, you know, there are some people in this Discord that I've been friends with for a decade or more, or approaching to it. And sometimes when you're friends with somebody for that long, there are things about them that you don't particularly enjoy, or there are things about them. For example, Knight, you salty bastard, bite me. But at the same time, I have acknowledged long ago that there are things about myself that aren't necessarily, about certain things. I get overly upset. I kind of overthink and over paranoid about some things, and that's just part of who I am. That's just one of those things where you have to acknowledge it and go, yep, could be worse. I gotta work through this, in some way on my own time. It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be something I enjoy doing, but it's something that, is nice to acknowledge and go, yep, I can do this. Now, I see that we've got somebody else who's joined us. Z, I don't know how behind you are or whatnot, but we've been discussing, people who have the opinions of, my life is too hard, this sucks, or the people who have the opposite problem of, man, this other person has experienced this tragedy. My experiences are baseless, and I have no right to complain. And ideas for how to move beyond that sort of thing, and kind of take a more just a better attitude towards life in general, really. How to move on with just living and stuff like that. So what are your thoughts on all this? We've acknowledged that both of those outlooks aren't necessarily the best ones. What are your thoughts on how to move on from that? How to adjust yourself a little bit? Because obviously it's not an easy process. It's something that takes time and patience.
Just remember that even if your problems aren't quite as bad as somebody else's, you still have your own issues, and if you just focus on other people's issues instead of dealing with your own, they can grow even bigger than the other person's issues. Therefore, it just becomes a loop of, oh no, I feel bad for this person, and then you don't focus on your own, and then then the other person's just like, oh no, this person's issues are even bigger than mine originally were, and then they stop treating their own issues.
Yeah.
And it just becomes a loop of pity, pretty much, and then it's just nothing gets solved, and
yeah,
gets worse.
It really does turn into a vicious, endless cycle. I've done that myself. Obviously I enjoy talking about these sort of things, and I got into a habit there for a while, especially in my high school years, when everything was always, there's this drama happening here, there's this drama happening there, this person's mad because they're so and so broke up with them, and da 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 da. And it's just kind of an endless thing with that. What is hurting me? Please no. And so it really is kind of easy to fall into an endless cycle of, man, I've got this going on and I really want to talk about it, but this other person, I can't talk to this person about it because they've got this going on. And I pity them, so I'm going to help them instead and kind of just ignore my own problems. A lot of people fall into that trap. I feel like some people kind of underestimate human kindness in a way, because if you really pay attention, you will find that most people, they they have a vested interest in helping the people that they know. They don't want necessarily to weapon charge. There we go. They're not necessarily interested all the time in helping themselves. They want to look at their friends and they want to go, hey, you know, what's going on? Let me help you out. Let me help you out. Even though sometimes that they end up kind of sacrificing their own mental health for it. And I honestly, I find that a lot. Even people who don't think that they're necessarily like that, you know, everybody has that period of time where they kind of prioritize the mental health of other people. And then what ends up happening is they feel like, oh my god, everybody's dumping their problems on me. Nobody's interested in hearing about my issues, even though that may not necessarily be the case. Fuck this. And then they get bitter. You know, they don't want to talk to people anymore. They're not interested in hearing anybody's problems because they felt kind of like they've been ignored. I still struggle with that sometimes, where it's just like, you know what? Nobody's really listening to me. Fuck this. I'm done for a little while. It's a really dangerous trap to fall into. It's something it's not something you can just not do. It's something you have to continually think about, really. I find that, you know, it's hard to just not do stuff like that. Human nature is one of trial error in that sense, where it's hard to, you know, it does take real effort to kind of figure out how to approach life in a way that doesn't hurt you or the people around you, especially when it comes to dealing with those people that simply don't have an interest in doing the same, because they do exist. You know, they'll sit there and they'll let you help them, and they never ever are gonna want to give back in that sense. Not that you just should expect everybody to give back to you, but it is a kind of a give and take. You can only help somebody so much and get nothing out of it. You know, it's kind of like when you help somebody through a problem and then they don't take your advice. You know, they ask for your help, and then they get mad when you tell them your idea on how to help. Those kind of people can be a little bit difficult to deal with sometimes. Some people just thrive on drama. With all that being said, does anybody have any further thoughts on this topic? Knight, go ahead if you have anything else you want to add. Is there?
No, I mean, you pretty much said anything on that one right there.
Shira, what about you?
Just because someone has bigger problems than you doesn't invalidate your own. It's just what's to be gained from this entire conversation.
Pretty much. Why is my camera freaking out? Yeah, I 100% agree. I think the biggest takeaway so far today has been that, you know, no, there is no, in my opinion, there is no problem out there that invalidates the problems of another person. You know, some people are raised in a little bit higher privilege, and so it may come across as arrogant when they say, oh my god, my phone got taken away. It's the end of the world. Now, sometimes, yes, that is a matter of somebody refusing to acknowledge the problems of another person. But a lot of times that may simply be a matter of, hey, they were raised in such a way that they don't know any better. As far as they know, that is one of the largest problems that a person can face, because they haven't experienced something greater than that yet. And they will. People always experience something greater than the problems they're currently dealing with. I think that you continue to experience that throughout your whole life. You're always, always, always going to find a greater problem. But by that same extent, you're always going to find a greater happiness. It's a given. Life is probably the only truly random thing in this world. You might get a 20-year streak of completely good luck, and nothing but good things happens to you, or you might get a 20-year streak of really just nothing but shit. And it's sad to say, that's unfortunate to have to say, but it really is that random. It's not that life is kind or unkind, it just is. And I think your mental attitude is all about how you come to terms with that. You have to acknowledge that sometimes things are just gonna be terrible, and other times they're gonna be great, and there might be large gaps in between those periods of time, and there may not. So it's really entirely up to you how you approach your situation. It is up to nobody else. Only you can look at something and go, "Yep, this is how I'm going to think about this situation." So with that being said, does anybody have any other things we could talk about? Any topic ideas? Anything to add? Because I feel like there could be more to cover with this discussion. However, this being the first video, I don't want to absolutely just beat it into the ground, if you know what I mean. I want to leave some room for other people to come back afterwards and give their own thoughts and opinions on it.
Can't think of anything at the moment.
Can't think of anything. What about you guys, Knight, Sharon?
One thing I've heard some people say is, like, kind of a little bit off what you're going with, you know, like, if their problem might not be as big, you know, because that's how they were raised. And some people say, you know, like, well, it can't be helped because they were raised a certain way, and I kind of half agree and half don't with that one. Because you can always, like, say someone got fired at work, and to them that's the worst thing in the world, but to someone else, you know, getting fired is kind of just, you know, they go through it so many times, it's normal to them. Like, you can always find a way to pick yourself up, even if you don't know it, and it's not just always no one's going to be there. There's always going to be someone somewhere that can help, no matter what, and you don't always have to just wait around. Sometimes if you go look a little bit, even online, and like I said earlier, it's like some video games have like a really strong community. Not all of them are just completely toxic, but
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So you're saying for some people, you're saying you don't necessarily agree with the whole "it depends on how you're raised" situation. Did I get that correctly?
yeah, you know, you can always find different ways to go around and like find better ways to think about stuff.
Yeah. So what I meant by that was, in your early years, it does depend a little bit, in my opinion, simply because you don't know how. It's a little bit hard to process at 4 or 5 years old a tragedy compared to how you process it when you're 25. You only know the ideas that you've been given at that point in time because your brain hasn't quite developed enough to establish your own thoughts and feelings on the process. But with that being said, I do agree that certain things are a big deal to others that aren't a big deal to you or somebody else. For example, for me, when I was younger, it wasn't a big deal to not be able to play on the computer. It wasn't a big deal to have to go outside and play. But if you look at a lot of people in today's generation, just younger kids being raised by today's generation of 35-year-old parents, they grew up with having access to a phone and a computer and everything else. So when they get that taken away from them, that's like huge to them. They're like, oh my god, I don't have my phone. For me, it was books. I got really upset if my books got taken away when I was growing up, because that was the thing my parents threatened. If they wanted my attention right then and there at that moment, it was like, hey, pay attention. Pay attention. We're gonna mess your day up if you don't. Well, thank you. So yeah, I agree that some things are just going to be a bigger deal to other people, and you have to be wary of that when broaching certain topics. Like, okay, the best example of this is jokes, I feel. Humor. My sense of humor, it tends to lean on the darker side. It just does. And, a lot of people, they hear that and they're like, haha, funny, that's great. But sometimes I'll run into somebody and they'll be like, well, that's not funny at all. Why would you joke about that? And, so you can't just go full bore on a person that you aren't familiar with, because they might have a different outlook on things than you do, and it's even if you don't agree with that outlook, you still should respect it. You know, if they think that a joke about today's political climate isn't funny, then respect that and don't joke about it in front of them a whole bunch unless it's clear that they are being disrespectful. I treat it as such that if you respect my views on things, I will respect your views on things. I'll have a calm, peaceful debate with somebody all day, every day about opinions on politics or life or just anything really, so long as they are respectful of my opinion. Opinions are that. This whole, like I said at the beginning of this video, all of this is simply opinion. None of this is something that should be my. Why can't I take off? Yuld? Yes. Anyway. Sorry. Dealing with my shit. But it all comes down to, people are entitled to the right to have their own thought process about things. They don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with them. And so long as each party involved can respect that fact, then there's really not a reason for there to be disagreements between those two people. And sometimes I feel like that is a lot of what leads to the conflict these days. I mean, some of the biggest conflicts in our world have been between two different political ideals, that because the people involved in those two political ideals simply couldn't agree with the ideals of the other faction, and boom, wars happen. So, with that being said, does anybody else have anything to add or anything to discuss?
Well, about the mindset of people. Unless they lived in a box, it doesn't really matter how they're raised. If they have any contact with the outside world, they will learn other people's opinions and hardships and difficulties. And if they have a little bit of empathy, which basic people would have, they'd come to understand that. I don't really know what I'm trying to say here. But
I think I get it. I think you're going for the lines of, regardless of being sheltered or not, at some point in your life you're going to encounter people who have a differing experience. So whether you want to or not, you're eventually going to encounter the experiences of another person, and you're going to encounter those people who don't necessarily agree with you. Am I correct? Somewhat.
But if these people then maintain this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Oh no, I've lost my phone privileges after kind of learning about other people's plights. I don't know. Kind of think less of these people then.
Well, and that's not necessarily something I disagree with either. Like I said, it's it's up to you for your outlook. If you choose to ignore the outlooks of other people that you come across, that's again, that is up to you. That is a conscious decision you made. You can pretend all you want that certain things have less meaning than others, but to some people it's going to mean a lot. And if you choose to ignore the thoughts and opinions of another person, that's up to you, and I would argue that they are entirely within their rights to dislike you for it. I may not agree with, say, just as an example, the idea of random example, a religion. Let's say there's a religion out there that I simply don't agree with, great. But that doesn't mean the people who follow that religion are wrong or bad people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as long as they don't try to force their religion.
Right. As long as they don't try to force that upon you, I have no problems. You know what? I actually have the perfect example of this. So, if anybody is unaware of this, I theoretically used to be Mormon. I wasn't really a churchgoer or anything like that, but Mormons are a form of Christianity that is just a little bit different from the other forms of Christianity. I mean, you know, simple shit. And it was not something I actively pursued. However, I just found their philosophy on life to be somewhat appealing. They're a very accepting people. They're Christian. They don't agree with the concept of being gay, but the people that I interacted with, they had openly gay members of their church because they very much believe in the idea of what they call free agency. You know, they believe that God gives them the right to make mistakes and expects that they will do so. So, while I don't necessarily agree with them on the idea that, you know, you're gay, you're going to hell, I can respect the fact that they go, you know what, that's your decision, not mine. And I'm not going to, you know, ward you away from the world based on that. It is up to God to decide what happens to you, not me. So, there's no reason for me to exclude you. It's perfectly okay. And that to me is really cool. And in a religious sense, for you to go find a person that openly goes against the things that you believe in, and you can go, you know what, that's okay, come on to church anyways. That was something that I vibed with, if you want to put it like that. And so anyway, I had an experience one day where I went into this, it was more or less just a restaurant. It was this little, you know, family-owned corner shop on the main street in the town where I live. And I went in there, and they were a hugely Christian little shop. You know, Christian music playing in the background, Bibles all over the place. You know, and I really liked the people there. I really respected the people there. I liked their food. There's a pretzel shop. They made some big soft pretzels. It was glorious. And one of the guys who was there that I always talked to, you know, I happened to let drop, you know, Mormonism was my thing, and he kind of stared at me. He stopped and he looked at me, shocked, and he said some things like, "Oh, wow, that's man, I can't agree with that. You know, they believe in this, that, and the other. They you know, believe in wives and all this, just all these things that were so far, and you know, they don't believe that Christ is the real savior, blah 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 blah. Just all these things that were literally, like, some of it was pretty much the exact opposite of what they believed in. Now, obviously, I wasn't somebody who professed to know every little detail what they believed in, because I'm not really even a part of their organization now. I'm not a religious person. I'm just not. I'm more or less affiliated with them more on the idea of their acceptance policies more than anything else. But he said something about, you know, this is literally in their book, and da 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 da, and I was like, well, no, it's not. It's simply not there. That is not something to believe in. As somebody who's part of their organization, I can assure you that there's something they don't believe in. He's like, yes, they do. And it was a really surreal thing where it's like he's so ingrained into his own beliefs that he can have somebody from the organization he doesn't agree with tell him that's not what we believe in, and his immediate first assumption is, I know better. You might be part of the organization and I'm not, but I know what you believe in better than you do. And that was something that was eye-opening at the time. That was like, well, I regret that that's how you view it. I can assure you that that's not the case. But if you're so opposed to having your mind changed on that, despite what I'm literally sitting here telling you and trying to show you, that's their problem. That's not something I'm responsible for. That's not something I have any control over. That's not something I'm even worried about, because I tried to have that conversation. I tried to explain to him what it is that was actually going on, and he didn't want to hear it. He simply wanted to go, yep, this is what you believe in, whether you think it is or not, and you're wrong. You're going to hell. And I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm going to step away from this conversation because there's no winning an argument with that kind of person. There's that's no longer a debate. That's a I don't even really know what to tell. It's like talking to a brick wall. It's just, yeah, it's a one-way argument. There is no discussing it with somebody. There is no changing their mind. They have become so set in their opinions. They're not open to having a different one. They're not. Oh wow! I perched directly on top of. Yeah. They're not open to a different idea. They're locked into their own worldview, and they are unfortunately stuck in that box. And he probably will be stuck in that box until the day he dies, unfortunately, unless something happens to change his mind. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a conscious decision whether or not to ignore somebody else's experiences, to ignore someone's opinions. And much like, you know, your experiences aren't baseless. Oh god, I'm gonna sneeze. Ah, yeah. Ow. But great streamer, sneezed into my mic and everything. But it's
It's a top quality soundbite sneeze.
sorry, one sec. Anyway, I think it's definitely a conscious decision whether or not you ignore someone's opinions, just like it's a conscious decision of whether or not you acknowledge that your own experiences have value, whether or not you acknowledge that the people around you are there to help, whether you acknowledge that there's a way out of the situation you're in. It's a dangerous trap to both believe that there's no way out and that there's also no way in to a person's experience, if you know what I'm saying. So I think I think all of it just really comes down to whether or not you're open to making a decision. You know, you have to think. It's something you have to sit down and think. Anybody have anything to add to that?
Nope.
No, I'm done.
Z?
Nothing to add. No.
Okay. Well, it's been an hour-long live stream. We talked about quite a bit of things. We see what did we cover today? We discussed some channel updates. We discussed the ideas of, you know, acknowledging one's own experiences and the experiences of others, and discussed a couple ways to do that. So I think that being said, hopefully there's a bit of a better idea for people's minds as to what this whole thing is going to be about. And I think that if I get some positive feedback about all of this in the comments or on Discord or whatever, if people are willing to send me some ideas, so you guys be thinking of some stuff to discuss, you know, give me some ideas, give me some topics. I can't do it by myself because I will 2 weeks before I upload another video if I do, because I can't ever come up with a good one. So you guys send me ideas, send me thoughts, send me opinions, send me just things to discuss, things you want to acknowledge, anything that fits into this whole life lessons with Loku is what we could call it. Yeah. So yeah, you guys just talk to me. Really, just talk to me. I think with that, we're gonna end this one off. It's been about an hour, which is a pretty good time, I think. The introduction video to this whole idea. We will continue playing No Man's Sky in the background for all of this. Anyway, saves when I get out of my ship, right? Restore point save. Yeah. So, yeah, I think we'll leave this one off here, and we'll have a good chat in the next one. Hopefully, once I get some ideas and some thoughts in, whether in the Discord or in comments of this video or whatever, I'll look into making another one if I get some good feedback on it, if people like it. So with that, I think I will see you guys later. It's been a good stream. Thank thank you guys for joining me. The three of you that are here. Had fun discussing things with you, and